Hi and welcome back to another speed build video, where we today are starting out with the bulldozer tool to make a bit of room at the start of the Asian area here in Canopy Gardens, my tropical sandbox zoo placed in Australia. Here we'll be building what appears like a part of a temple for Komodo dragons. I did find a bit of inspiration in the Komodo dragon exhibit in Australian Reptile Park. I didn't come by that many pictures of the enclosure, but enough to inspire me to make this temple-like structure, and especially the choice of colors is taken from there. I don't think I would have come up with this kind of velvet colored stones for a temple myself, but it just works very well in this part of the zoo, and is a good way to add in something different between these buildings, while it still kind of fit into the theme. So this new habitat kind of works as the entrance to the Asian area. After you have passed the whole entrance section, then you'll come to this. When you walk past this, you get further into Asia and the treetop adventure, which you might have seen in some of my other videos. And from there you'll also be able to move into the Australian area. But with this enclosure we got a better start to the whole section, I think. It is placed right next to the alligators, and I also removed a part of the building which you could see behind the alligators before. I've always felt like that building ended up being a bit too big. My plan is to build some kind of a terrarium for American species inside of it, which will just be exhibit species, and maybe I cannot fit in as many as intended now, but I still think I can fit enough species inside of it for it to make sense as a terrarium building. So you can see we're building kind of a tower here to give it a bit more of this temple-like feeling. So I'm not going to build like an entire temple. It's more going to feel like when you enter in between these walls, kind of feel like you're standing in like a fraction, like a small part of a temple. So I tried to actually build as little as the temple as possible while still giving this temple-like feeling. And then we have this tower in the middle to have something that pops out a bit more, if that makes sense. And this tower here is also one of the main viewing areas. There'll be 3 windows in it where you can look into the Komodo dragons. And I'm doing some of the detailing now, and then I ended up taking a bit of a break from this tower and return to it later. After I finished the video I also did a bit more of decorating to it, and then out of the gate I'm also building 2 windows over on the side, so you can also look into the enclosure while you haven't entered this whole temple plaza kind of thing, so you can get a different view into the habitat. On the left side I made a bit of a rock wall just to break up the whole temple thing a bit. And on the other side of that you will have the enclosure for Asian small-clawed otters and red pandas. And this enclosure is built like an outdoor enclosure. I believe this climate should be suitable for Komodo dragons. I decided to only house 1 Komodo dragon in this enclosure at the moment. I believe you'll often have multiple enclosures for your dragons when you want to house more than 1 adult animal, and I couldn't really find the space for this in this corner of the zoo. I think maybe you'll be able to house multiple females and multiple males together, but I couldn't really find too much information about this, and it's not something I have any experience with myself. With a lot of lizards you can house multiple individuals together, but I'm a little unsure how it is with Komodo dragons. And I also think it's quite common within Australia, if we're thinking realism a bit into this, that the zoos that got Komodo dragons don't really have a lot of them. I haven't really looked too much into it, but I'm not sure if any zoos there are managing to breed with them, and how many zoos even got males and females. Most things I've seen looks like it could in many cases just be 1 animal they're housing. So that was kind of the logic I went with here. If you know anything about this, then you're very welcome to tell me. The outside I kept quite simple. I believe Komodo dragons would probably dig up a lot of plants, so I didn't went too crazy with putting plants all over the place, and instead used some rocks and stuff to decorate it a bit. And I kinda liked this to be rather open. That kind of fits what I've seen for Komodo dragons in real life. Often there is not really that much going on, aside from some stuff they can climb a bit on top of. Then I decorated the walls some more to make just a bit more of this temple feeling. It's the first time I have played this much around with the Indonesian set. I have used it a bit before, but not on such a big scale as I'm doing here. And then I really liked how it ended up working using these twilight stones over the Indonesian stones. It gives a very different feeling to it, which I kind of like. And I already used the Indonesian stones for more kind of standard brick walls, so I felt like I needed to use something different here. And then I used these monitor heads. I think they look generic enough to also resemble the Komodo dragon, even though they are of course made for the Asian water monitor, but you can't really tell what species this is supposed to be, I think. And we don't really have any pieces for the Komodo dragon, sadly. Something you could hope they had done for the console edition. Now they are trying to sell them as a pre-order exclusive animal, which I don't really think is the best idea. But yeah, if you're considering console edition, then you need to pre-order it to get the Komodo dragon. And really, I feel like the game would be weird without having them. And now we're just decorating a bit more with some plants, and then there's not that much more to it. I decorated the tower a bit more after I stopped the recording and just added a few more decorations around the place too. But I'll show you all of that in the cinematics.